Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I hope, obviously, all of you got the right link, but just a few minutes ago, the link for this Zoom call was incorrect, and I was out doing everything I could to update it. So I am glad that you're all here. I know I got something done right. All right. Let's see. Do we have Michael with us?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, there you go. Good to see you.
You too.
The man of the hour. Jeff, have you had many people reach out to you about that self-storage? You're muted.
Yes. Yeah, I've had a lot of people actually reach out to me on that.
I told some of them they better reach out.
Glad to hear you're on my side. I love it.
All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and get this started to just really stay on track with our time. Obviously, I got the link fixed for most people because we have a bunch of people in here. So in any case, I am excited about today's call. Our guest today is Michel Pleau, and he is going to be sharing with us a marketing program sort of that he has put together that he did for himself. Spent many months researching, putting it all together, building it all out, and using it to generate leads for wholesale deals. And he is going to share with us all today specifically what he's done and how he's put it together. I will go ahead and just tell all of you up front that Michael will be offering up a sort of done for you service for some of you who may be interested in not taking on everything that he is going to be sharing with you. He's going to teach you how to do it, but you might come to the conclusion that you don't want to be the one to do it, and you would rather just have him do it for you. The reason I put that out up front is because before I would let Michael share this with the community, I purposely said, well, you've got to show me first, and you've got to do it for me. And so I literally went and used this program myself before I would allow Michael to come and teach it to the rest of the community. And I can tell you that my results, and Michael knows the exact number of days, but somewhere in the 2-month range, I picked up 2 deals using what he is going to be sharing with you today. So I can myself with confidence say that this works. And and so I'm very excited to have him sharing it with the rest of the community. And again, Michael's heart here is he wants to share with you exactly what he's doing. But we'll talk later. You know, if you're of the mindset that, hey, I want to do this, but I don't want to do it myself, I'd rather have Michael do it for me. You'll be able to talk to him about that. But Michael, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are before we get started?
Yeah, happy to do that. I'm wondering if meanwhile, it looks like the share screen is disabled for me. If you can enable that, I'll share my screen in a moment here too. Talking. Yeah, so a little bit quick background on myself. I've had a full-time corporate role pretty much my entire life and still do in real estate venturing as like my side hustle, I guess you could say. I started out in business general manager roles some years ago and now in a human resources role for an international company here based in Minnesota. And about 10 to 12 years ago, I started doing real estate investing. I have some rental properties. I do up to 2 or 3 flips a year, and decided a little over a year ago, I really want to switch gears and try wholesaling. And I know there's a lot of different ways to go about it. And something in my personal life I have a passion around is doing photography and workshops at destinations. And I launched a Facebook business page and some ads to fill some workshops that was very successful. And I went on to say, well, could I not apply this concept to real estate? And so that leads me fast forward to today, and I'll walk you through what the last year's adventure has looked like and how my system is generating leads. So I'm going to share my screen here with you. All right, I'm going to assume you can see that okay. If you're not able to see, then let me know. So I'm not going to go through all the details on here that are on this page, but I wanted to give you an idea of the level of detailed things that I did research, and that if your system, if you have a system, if it's done right, ultimately the results should be that you're getting more leads, your leads are resulting in more appointments, and ultimately you're making more money, because that was my objective ultimately. And I've spent 15 months on this, a lot of trial and error. I got to tell you, there were things I thought would work really well that did not, and I had to change gears, but now it seems to be working quite well. So these are like the main buckets of things that I focused my time on initially to build things out. Everything from researching various Facebook advertising methods, which is one of my drivers for getting leads, to building Facebook business pages, creating marketing campaigns, how to get people to do likes and create follows and comments and things like that, right? From a social media standpoint. Also researching and launching a website, a CRM that I customize that has a lot of automations in it that we'll talk about as well. Putting together integrated campaigns that I now have that have emails, texts, and ringless voicemails. And I actually have an email campaign built out that lasts an entire year now for nurturing leads. So I'm not going to spend time talking about the rest of the details here because I want to get into some of the more specific things I think are a little more exciting to talk about with this. But there's a lot of things that I researched to ultimately get to where I am today with what the system is doing. So this slide here, I'm going to see if I make this bigger again. This represents like everything that's happening. So on the left here, I realized this is kind of a powerful system for me. It might help a number of you too to see how I've laid this out and how everything comes together, because it's really powered on the front end by social media and a virtual assistant that I have working for me, who is also calling leads off lists that I have. And I have seamless process flows, a lot of automation. So ultimately, I get leads showing up on my phone with their contact details, and all I need to do is call people and work on getting deals done. Everything else is pretty much automated. So in the first bucket of things, this is about generating the leads, really leveraging that Facebook social media presence and VA. There's other things that I do too. So there's Facebook ads, but I also do Facebook posting and a number of other things too, making sure that I'll show up on search engines, optimizing my website and getting leads through my website as well. My VA doing cold calling. I do sometimes mail invitation, handwritten style letters to leads that I think are of a higher value or potential. And then I use PropStream as my lead list source to talk more about the types of lead lists that I've found the most productive for this too. So that's the front end. And then there's a middle bucket I call like the lead nurturing. Sometimes deals start getting done right away, and sometimes it can take a while. I thought this might be a bang out of the gate, but I really found that I get more leads as time goes on proportionately. So of course, the initial focus is a lot of phone calls to people as the leads come in, but I continue to have emails and texts go to them automatically. I can send them Facebook messages. I might do phone calls, et cetera, right? And then I'm not going to talk much about closing deals, but really here I'm focused on speed with getting to somebody. So ideally, I'm trying to call somebody within 5 minutes of getting their contact details. I find that people 80% of the time are answering their phone if I call within 5 minutes of getting their information, whether it's from my VA or if it's from a Facebook generated ad. And then we're talking and having a conversation about their deal. And I have a little more detail at the bottom you could go back to. I'm sure we'll be sharing this later with all the different things I'm doing on social media presence-wise. It's a lot of different things.
So Michael, before you go further,
yeah.
Actually, as I'm looking at this right now, I'm looking at it and thinking, holy moly, there was a whole lot of stuff that was going into it.
Yeah.
I want everybody to know that from my perspective, what really you and I had a conversation about, what I wanted, the area that I wanted,
Yep.
I gave you my credit card number. I gave you a phone number to send things to.
Yep.
And then I didn't do anything else except get the texts with leads coming in. And I did exactly what you said. As soon as those leads came in, I was calling them. It was very, very few leads that I got that I wasn't able to call immediately. I was just maybe on a coaching call like this when the lead came in or something, and I couldn't call them back right away. But that was really all it was I got a text and I made the phone call and tried to get an appointment. But apart from that, I had no idea you were doing all that other stuff in the background.
Yeah, I probably did, frankly, didn't even tell you about all of it. But yeah, a lot of stuff that I've set up to make all that happen. Yep. Thanks for sharing that. So I thought you might like to hear more about specifically what is it I do with Facebook and what are the different types of ads that you could go do yourself if you wanted to generate more leads. I'll try to make this a bit bigger again. I'm able to see people when I do that, but you'll be able to see my screen better. So the first type of ad that I use is a Facebook awareness ad, and this is basically about building awareness. This is about not necessarily trying to get people to respond or submit their information to be a lead, but giving them presence about your existence so that they're thinking about, if I want to sell my home, this might be an option I want to consider. It's like a 1-second ad people can watch. And then the next ad that we have is one with a lead form. So it's just a little bit longer. It might be like a 3-second video. It requires a click to watch it and then a click to submit your contact details, which include your first and last name, your email address, your phone number, and then that would be triggered to systematically flow through the steps to show up on your phone, right? And then the third type of ad is a retargeting ad. So after about a month or so, 4 or 5 weeks of running the first 2 types of ads, what you can do is this type of ad will go out and find all the people who actually viewed either of the other ads but did not take an action. And then it will show them this ad because we now know there's somebody that was interested enough to do and watch one of the previous ads all the way through. May not seem like 3 seconds, should take a lot of time. People would actually do that, but if they don't do that, they might not be the retargeting type. So then these are a little bit higher quality lead that you might get. The other thing you can do that I did not put in here is that I have what's called a Facebook pixel embedded in my website. So if people are going to my website to view information about me and how they can get an offer, but they decide not to submit their information, Facebook then tracks that data and then takes my ads here that I've now talked about and displays them to that person when they're on Facebook to give me a better chance of getting that person, even if they never go back to my website, to just click and submit their information via Facebook ad that's now being presented to them. So that's yet another way that you can use the Facebook ads. Of course, there's things you can do like A/B testing to figure out what ads work best. I have done some of that. There's also ways to use AI intelligence that Facebook has built in. They have real estate audiences that you can create. And to Steve's point, you can target geographic locations. So in Steve's scenario, we picked a specific geographic target for me to focus on. So on the front end, that's what Facebook is doing for me as I designed and set things up. And then the leads flow into my CRM. I have emails that automatically send text messages. I can have them automatically sent, but I choose to be able to go in and press a button when I want the text campaign to start. In case I got some person on the phone right away, I might not want it to go right away. So now I get the lead sent to my phone. A little more on the stats here. So again, calling them within 5 minutes, great chance of getting them on the phone. 15 minutes, I've found it's more like a 50% answer rate. If I'm not getting them on the phone right away, I'm still trying to call them or reach them in some way 5 times minimum during the first week. I still find there's a good chance of getting them on the phone if I'm doing that. And I still find that even if I'm working on them through just a regular campaign and following up once in a while, I still might turn them into a lead. And I'll share with you in a little while here how I just got another deal done right now from a lead that I initially had contact with 15 minutes ago when I started this. So then I'll go ahead, get their basic details, find out repairs are needed, look up some comps. I'll give them a price range over the phone just to get them thinking about where I might be, make sure there's at least some basic, criteria that we might be able to work out. And then I try to do things as much as possible over the phone. Something that was some great advice Steve had given me along this journey was, Michael, go check out the competition. So I did. I decided I was going to sell my house for cash to another wholesaler or cash buyer, because there's plenty of Minnesota mailing stuff to me. I had about 5 or 6 people that were interested in doing that. I would tell you that most of them failed to follow up with me, or did not call me at the times that they said they were going to, said they might make an offer, never did. And there was one person that spent more time with me. They followed up with an offer, literally executed great. And I said to myself, wow, if I do sell my house, that's the person I'm going to sell my house to. And so I decided that as I built this out, and then the personal touch I have, is I need to make sure my system helps me know when and how to follow up with people too. Because if I'm not, then I don't have the edge against my competition, at least in my market, where people are having a hard time remembering to follow up. You start getting leads. Once you've got 50 leads, it's harder to remember who you're following up with when you're following up with them. So this is just a screen print of inside Facebook, what the part of my ad campaign looks like in terms of its reach and impressions. So basically this means that it reached 12,000 people over the period of time here. I think it's in like 2-week intervals. And this is just a subset. I actually have over 20 different types of ads that I'm running at any given time. People might be viewing something more than once. The cost per result, meaning I got a lead, and this is the average cost for each lead so far during that time period. So you'll see 3 leads at $27 a lead, 2 leads at $9 a lead. So on average in a month, I plan to spend between $900 to $1,200 a month to get an average of 30 leads per month and 1 deal done per month. That's my stats. And I'll walk you through a more specific scenario here coming up. But if you break that down, then this gives you I can see which ads are more effective and which are not, right? And then I might allocate more ad spend toward those ads and eventually get rid of some other ads. So this is my way of another thing I learned and got some good coaching on was look to continuously improve things. This is one of the things I do to try to continuously improve things. So you're probably wondering, okay, let's talk more about what is the outcome of all of this, right? So I thought what I would do for myself, actually, and I'm glad I did because now it's more easy to share with you, is I wanted to track my first 6 weeks of activity when I got this rolling. Had a couple starts and stops as I had to literally switch CRMs. I had a call center that was doing outbound calls for me originally that did not do very well at all. I had to fire them. I then found and trained my own VA who had a little bit of experience to help me. So I had some hiccups like that initially, but despite all that, my first 42 leads, I decided I'm going to track them all and see over time what is my long-term productivity with this. So out of 42 leads, I talked to 15 of them personally. I booked 9 appointments, so 9 different people that I met with. I made 5 offers, and actually I just made another one 3 days ago to one of these 42 leads, so I'll be updating that to 6. I have 2 that were buyers, so I handed those off to agents who eventually paid me a little something on the side. And I'm not really even including that in my numbers, but for dollars and cents, but it's something that does happen. You might get some buyers once in a while. And I got 2 deals done. One of those just 2 days ago, I got a nice deposit in my bank account. So off these 42 leads, 6 weeks of activity, I've made $15,000 in profits. And my buyers are telling me that they're making about $25,000 on one of them that's a flip. And the other one that was a duplex, we got it and I sold it to the cash buyer at $61,000 below tax assessed value, and it was in good condition. So they were very happy about that, and they were anticipating cash flow free cash flow about $1,000 a month. So that's just off my initial 42 leads. So I'm pretty happy about it. And the reason I'm pretty happy about it is that I've only been doing this part-time in addition to my corporate day job. If I've been doing this full-time, I'd probably be spending a little more on my ads and driving this faster and doing more deals. I put a few things in here about like budget, and on the Facebook lead facts, I've kind of talked about that. I've talked a little bit about the lead responsiveness, the CRM automation. So I tried using Pipedrive. Not sure I mentioned that. I would not recommend it. For me, Notepad didn't work. Some people use notepads. Or another wholesaler told me how I use the spreadsheets. That didn't work for me either. For me to spend time on that when I wanted to spend time on getting the deal done, I don't want to be having to like manually go update things more than I possibly need to. So my CRM, I have a lot of automations where if I move a lead from one stage to another, it just triggers a different email campaign. There's a lot of things that are just automated now that I do. My virtual assistant, I pay him $5 an hour, which is kind of amazing, right? He calls people all day long. Typically, I'm getting 1 to 2 leads a day from him also, and I'm paying him $500 for a deal that we close. He's on average using Mojo Dialer. If you've never heard of Mojo Dialer, it's a tool that will call people for you, and then it'll connect you immediately if they actually answer the phone, so you can have a conversation with the people who actually pick up the phone. He generally talks to about 20 to 25 people per day on the phone, and then he's getting 1 to 2 people a day that we can actually talk to. They're interested in hearing about an offer. So it's working pretty well. Not as quite as many leads as many deals done as I'm getting off my Facebook ads, but it's my second best resource right now for lead generating. So, and then as I mentioned, 15 months, I didn't think that a lead that I initially talked to 15 months ago, I would have just gotten a deal done with this week. So a little more about some of the different systems that I've put together behind the scenes in case, like Steve said, if you're looking to do this yourself in your market, by all means, here's some other things that I have used and strung together. So Twilio.
Make sure you're taking notes.
Yeah, so Twilio is the text campaign provider that I use. I've tried out 3 different providers. This was the one that I landed on. It integrates natively with my CRM, and I just find it works well. I can write everything in my CRM. I like to do as much as I can in my CRM, have it integrated with other systems, and this allows me to do it. You can set an automated replenishment budget, and it's very cheap. They're very cost effective. Slide broadcast. So I now just got the ability to do ringless voicemails to people in my CRM using a phone number built into my CRM. So I'm now not using slide broadcast, but I've maintained my account because I still like it. It's very slick. I literally can call into slide broadcast, record a message as though I'm literally calling somebody, okay? And then what it does is it calls the person without their phone actually ringing and leaves them a voicemail, and they'll think that you called them and they missed your call. And if they have text voicemail, it'll show up the message written, right? And people will respond to these or think that you're calling them. And I don't do these a lot, but I plan to do more of it in the longer term campaigns when I will get them on the phone the first week or 2. So Tresta is the provider I use for phone number services. I've heard that there's other services that are better. I don't know, they might be better. This is what works for me. It allows me to have multiple phone numbers for different markets so that I can track and understand and direct leads to where they should go if they're calling the number. And also for my virtual assistant to be connected into how he is helping support the stuff that I'm doing. And I can also do time-bound call routing so that different times of the day I can have calls routed to a different person. I just found that that's really helpful for me. I can create phone numbers in there, pick special kinds. I'd go with just a local phone number for each market. Mojo Dialer is the tooler that I mentioned that does the speed dialing and getting people on the phone that we use, and been very, very pleased with that. It costs about, Tresta starts out, I think, at like $19 a month for a base plan and 1 or 2 phone numbers. Mojo Dialer is like $149 a month, I think, for a single user license. PropStream, if you've never used PropStream, I've been using that now for about 4 months. I've been creating all my own lead lists, and some of the lead lists that I've used are absentee owner vacants, senior empty nesters, tax and HOA liens, failed MLS listings. I would tell you, failed MLS listings, I have not had great luck with that. Those people usually want more than I'm going to pay them for a deal. The other lists so far have been productive, and one actually I'm seeing I don't have on here is a delinquent payment list I've also been using, and I'm looking to try out a couple more. And I've gotten a couple deals done off those lists with only my VA calling them and not Facebook ads too. And then I mentioned earlier the CRM. So there's lots of CRMs to pick, and I think it's best for people to pick whatever CRM they feel is the best fit for them. If you were using my system, my CRM is expandable where, and Steve could speak to this if he wants, where you can use my CRM, you automatically would have a slot in it. Basically, leads would flow to your phone, but they'd also be in there for you to update and move their status as you talk to them, or you set up an appointment, or you can decide not to use it. But that's just part of how I've automated things, and I do my automations out of my CRM. But I found people have different CRMs they like and use. I like ones that are simple but highly configurable, and that have stages that you can move your leads easily from one to the next. And so I've listed the key stages that I use in my CRM down below that I found really useful. So in any CRM, that's what I would be looking for, is can I easily move leads from stage to stage? Can I have it configured? And I think also to add, I'm not a real technical person. I can do some technical things, but I've decided to try to find people that are third-party people that just happen to be good at development stuff with helping me develop new Facebook ads now, because I don't know that I want to keep doing my time on that, right? I want to just call people and work on deals and hire other people that can configure my CRM for me and do some of that more techie stuff. So I try to hire out more of that now if I can. So I'm going to keep moving along here to more of the dollars and cents, because you're probably all curious, like, okay, what does this mean in dollars and cents? So as I mentioned, there were a couple of hiccups, right? Had to fire a call center and start over that, had to get rid of CRM and start over that. I really got rolling in May. That's when I really got rolling. All my deals have been since then, except one. I found this to be pretty powerful. I don't think that I would be doing this if I did not have Facebook ads going, and then additionally the VA for an extra lift. I've generated $287,000 in profits in equity position, which I'm almost surprised. I didn't really think it'd be that much. Of course, I was the wholesaler on the deal and doing this part-time. I've made $36,000 so far this year. I have another deal that's going to close in 2 weeks that I'm going to make $6,000 on. I have one property I kept. I just got an official appraisal. I haven't even had a chance to tell you this yet, Steve. An official appraisal of $445,000, and I have $303,118 into that deal. So my position, I put 110 because it's actually higher than that, but I'd have to pay an agent if I decide to sell it, but I'm going to keep it for now. And then my buyer profit potential, based on what people told me they were projecting to make on flips, was about 80,000 for the ones that were flip deals. 61,000 in the equity position plus cash flow and rentals that people kept out of 7 deals here so far. So that's my activity so far. When I got started, I went to a company called Social Media Blueprint. Okay, I started writing my own ads. Like I mentioned, I'd done some prior to this to fill up photography workshops, and I decided, I want to see if I could get a little bit of a jump start to buy some ad content and then revise from there. And I did do that. And I ended up finding that their program was very expensive, and I really did not get even close to what I thought I was going to get. I'm sorry to say that here to all of you, because I don't like saying anything less than positive about other resources, but I spent close to $10,000 literally up front. And I still had to learn all the things I've been talking about and how to put that together and really automate it and everything on my own. And if you were to go find somebody else like that to manage stuff for you, I know that they charge $2,000 a month to manage stuff and help you do it on your own. And I'm like, wow, when, if anybody was going to try this, you might want to do it on your own, like I have, and I'm glad that I did. I don't know if I knew it was as much work as it was over a year ago, I don't know if I would have done it. I'm still glad that I did. And like as Steve said, some people might not want to go through all that. They might rather just literally turn a key and start calling leads that show up on their phone. So I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna guess there's probably some questions, and maybe Steve, there's some things you'd like to add from your experience.
Well, I want to open it up for questions. We did have one person in the chat ask, which CRM do you find best? And I don't know that you mentioned which CRM you were using, but isn't it PropStream? No, that's where you get your leads from. And then there's which CRM is it that you decided to land on?
Yeah, I'm using REI right now, but it may or may not be the best one for you. And I say that because I had to do a number of configuration changes with it and have a developer help me do that so that it would meet my needs in the way that it does today. And that's why I kind of mentioned earlier, like, I'd recommend anybody on the CRM piece, go do your own research to make sure whatever you're going to go buy is going to really meet your long-term need. It's a good question, though.
Anyone else with questions? You want to, is there any particular page that on your presentation that you'd like to leave up there that might generate some questions? Or if not, stop sharing the screen and we'll get everybody back and I can see who has questions. All right, anybody have questions for Michael?
So it looks like we have one about what happens if you have two clients or people requesting the same area. So I'm not really like, I don't have people that are using the system yet, but I'm talking with Steve. I was like, well, if people are interested in leveraging the system I've already put together, I'd be open to having up to 5 people do that, because then I know I can do it well. And I would not do 2 people in the same market. I'd only want to do it for people that are in distinctly different markets so that you're not competing against each other. I'd want all my ads and everything I'm doing to be fully dedicated, because I'd want us to have the best possible experience.
So just to put some things into context, Michael is an insider with Lifeonaire. He has been part of the Lifeonaire organization now for a while, and his goal is to live and experience an abundant life. He does not want to work a whole lot, and as we sat here and we talked about this, he made the decision that he would only want to work with up to 5 people, simply because that was anything above and beyond that, he felt like he would have to work too much, and that would actually compromise his lifestyle and everything that he wants to live. Someone here said that this is impressive, and I agree. I like his presentation and everything that you've done, because you basically showed everybody exactly how you do this, and every single moving part that's within it. You put a lot of time and effort into it. We have a question here. How or who do you target with Facebook ads?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So there's a few things that I do. So one is that I use Facebook's real estate profile, audience profile, and I use a geographic target. I'm usually picking, you can drop a GPS pin basically, and then specify the mileage you want to target of that real estate audience profile in Facebook within what geography. And then I like to get more specific. So what I do is I go create lead lists for that specific area that I'm targeting with Facebook ads. And then I take my lead list and I get them skip traced to get emails and phone numbers. And then I actually upload that list into Facebook. And then I tell Facebook, I want you to specifically go find all these people in Facebook land. And if there's an email address or a phone number match, I want you to display these ads, those ads I showed you earlier. I want you to display these ads to those people. And so Facebook then does all that. And then I say, okay, Facebook, based on that, use your AI, because you can do it manually where you're constantly updating things, or you can use an automated algorithm Facebook has to say, oh, I'm going to learn over time now that you've told me to target these to see which of those are responding best. And then I'm going to play it to more and more people in your audiences that are going to likely respond best based on that. So I use the AI intelligence in Facebook kind of layered over that as well. So that's how I'm deciding who to target. That was a great question.
So with my experience, I remember I even gave you went and got a list for me, but then I gave you a list that I had.
Yep.
And then you went and you had my list skip traced. Yep. And I want to say you were able to find 80 something percent of those people based off of their phone numbers and email addresses through the skip trace. You were able to find over 80% of them on Facebook.
I got 80% skip traced. I'm not sure the exact percentage Facebook found. That one I'm not able to get, but if they existed on Facebook, Facebook's going to find them.
Okay, so it was 80% of my list. You got their email addresses and phone numbers.
Yep.
And then you put that into Facebook. So if they're there, then you are able to target them.
You got it.
So I just had a list of addresses and names, but I didn't have email addresses or phone numbers. So he was able to, begin to start targeting them in Facebook for me. Michael, I was just asked, can you share slide number 7 again, so they can get a screenshot of it? Adrian is asking, what is the total monthly cost for all of the programs that you are using? So I'm going to guess between like Twilio and PropStream and your slide broadcast, and what is your monthly cost for everything?
So that's a good question. My monthly cost is around $2,000 a month, including my Facebook ad spend. So that's actually on the lower end compared to other wholesalers that I know pretty well in my area who are spending anywhere from just a little more than that up to $10,000. And they're looking at it more on a per lead basis. Mine, that also comes out to be about a per lead basis. I'm doing about a deal a month, but I could break that down further. So $930 a month is my exact ad spend in my market here for Facebook ads. Twilio is negligible, quite frankly. Tresta, I have multiple phone numbers and things going on with that. But if you were doing just one phone number, one market, not a VA and stuff, dialed into that, it's $20 a month. Mojo Dialer, if you're going to use that yourself or have a VA do it, that starts at $149 a month, I believe it is. PropStream is a subscription. So it allows me to get up to 10,000 leads per month for one price of $99 a month. I use an additional feature in PropStream for $27 a month. It's like an automation feature to update those lists that I've created every day. So if I want to go see any changes to those lead lists, I can. And I get a discounted skip trace rate of 10 cents per skip traced lead. So PropStream cost is always about $99 a month. And it depends on how many leads I'm skip tracing. So the cost will go up or down depending on what I'm deciding to do. CRMs, let's see, I've got some add-on services. I think you should be able to get a CRM in general, I think, for a couple $100 a month or less. I know some people up front are paying as much as $5,000 for a CRM. I've never paid more than about not more than $1,000 for a CRM up front. So I would give you that advice. There's the upfront cost, but the ongoing cost, if they're charging you more than 200 a month, I'd question them. I used Pipedrive initially. I think they were still not more than 100 a month, but their service was not very good. So I decided to let them go. So that's a little bit of the breakdown on the costs.
Good. We have another question here. What is the startup cost and length of time to get things moving, like with Facebook leads? Now, I'm going to start out first at answering that, Michael, just from my experience, but then you can take it from there. I'm not going to speak as far as the startup costs and all of that, but I'm going to talk about the length of time and what my experience was in getting this up and running. For the first 30 days, I was complaining, and I wasn't complaining about not getting leads. I was complaining about getting crap leads. And, you know, I'd call somebody back right away. I mean, I get a text that says, you know, hey, Marcus, so-and-so just, you know, filled out the form, and I call up the phone number, and I would get, ain't no Marcus here, you blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, well, I'm sorry. And, you know, and I would hang up, and Michael kept on telling me, just keep hanging with it. It gets better. You know, said Facebook keeps working that out, and it gets better. And so throughout the, you know, that first month was a lot of that. And then all of a sudden, I got like a real legitimate lead, and I get the person on the phone, person fill out the form, and they wanted to sell their house. I'm going to just be right up front. I would say half of the people who filled out the form didn't even have a house to sell. Someone were looking for a house to sell. They were looking for a house to rent, but for whatever reason, they were filling out the form. So I got, you know, a number of quote unquote leads that were not real. They weren't legitimate as far as what I was looking to do. But to what Michael kept telling me was it would improve, and it did. So the first month, he said, you know, Facebook goes through that AI thing, and it starts refining the people who it gets in front of for you and things like that. And, you know, I didn't understand all that. I didn't know what was going on in the background, but the reality of the situation was I started getting real leads and picked up 2 deals, I think, there in month 2 from doing it. And so if that just gives you a little bit of insight into the time frame. Now, we have not only me, we have another person who is also sort of running with this and doing a beta. And I had a talk with him a week ago, and he has not gotten a deal out of it in 5 or 6 months. But his own admission, he says, I've got 167 leads. He says, there's something in there. I don't, you know, I've got to get on them, but there's definitely a deal. And this is a guy who's been investing for a long time. He's got 167, somewhere in that range, right at 100. It was
167, 4 months. Yeah.
So 167 leads in 4 months that he got out of it. So anyway, but by his own admission, there's something that they must not be doing right on their end, because there's got to be a deal in that many leads. So, Michael, what do you want to add to that as far as what were your startup costs?
Yeah, mine are going to be different, right? I'm really glad Steve gave his perspective, because I already done mine and he was leveraging what I'd already gone through. So my startup cost was more than $10,000 up front to get all this worked out and working well. And that's not including ad costs. Okay, so that's just designing ads, purchasing content, configuring CRMs, developer time, like all that stuff, right? To build it all out. Maybe you could get it done cheaper. Maybe it'd cost you more. That was what it cost me. It took me 3 or 4 months to start getting deals done. But again, I was working things out as I was going, right? So then when Steve got going, like you said, month 2, he got a couple deals, right? And I think anybody doing this should plan that it could take a few months to start getting deals done, because as Steve mentioned, and as my experience too, it gets better over time because Facebook learns, and we're layering. You have to remember, we're layering things on. So the first month is about awareness ads and kind of tier 1 ads, I call them. And then we do remarketing ads to go find the people that clicked one of those that we know have some interest, to try to get them to now submit their information. It's kind of like layering and building things up over the first couple months. And then I'm still finding, like I mentioned, that if I keep the nurturing campaign going and once in a while follow up with people, I'm still getting deals done right now from 15 months ago. The leads were generated. So that personally excites me, because I got a lot of leads at this point, and that just makes me want to continue following up with them even more, because I know I'm going to keep getting more out of it. So that's a little bit more from my perspective on startup costs and length of time to get things moving.
I will also share this, that in month 2, I agreed to have you use the VA to start making calls for me. Mm-hmm. When the VA got somebody on the phone and sent that lead over to me, that was the response rate, and me getting them on the phone was far greater than just the form. But I think I don't think I spent more than $200 on the VA the whole time. But he was calling people, and when he sent something over, I call them back, and they were real leads, like right away out of the gate, just about every single time. I don't even know how many leads I got. Maybe you do, but I don't know, because I wasn't keeping up with that. I'm not the spreadsheet guy. I don't keep up with the details. I just look at the board and see how many deals I got, and that's what's important to me.
I know it's more than 30, but I don't remember the exact number either.
Yeah. Okay, a couple more questions. What do you consider to be, and we got a lot of great questions here, what's the best skip tracing system?
Well, I'm using PropStream for my skip tracing. It's 10 cents per lead to skip trace there, if you have a subscription. Otherwise, it's like 12 cents. They're not the only one out there, though. And I've heard some people like Lead Sherpa. So I know some wholesalers use them to skip trace their leads. That might be another one worth checking out. Since I've got the PropStream subscription at the time, I've been using them for it.
All right. Why did you choose Facebook ads versus Google pay-per-click?
Oh yeah, that's a good question, because I've thought about adding Google. Yeah, I don't know that I want to add another thing though. So I decided on Facebook because I'd already had the experience of using them for filming photography workshops I do a couple times a year. I spent very little money. I found it pretty productive. The A/B testing was pretty easy, and Facebook's AI worked pretty well. A completely different example of using Facebook ads I did one ad that cost me $50, and I got 250 plus people to follow one Facebook page in 2 weeks' time. And I half filled a workshop off one other ad that I spent $75 on and made over $1,000. So I was like, that's got something to it. And so I thought, I want to see how this works in the real estate world. And that was why I focused on Facebook.
Awesome. Any other questions?
So there's something in there about how do you clean your list of the food not call list?
I think it should be do not call list.
Oh, yeah. So there's in my CRM and most CRMs, you'd have a button you can toggle. If somebody says to remove them from a list, you just move them to a do not call. Or if you're using Mojo Dialer and calling people yourself or having a VA do it, Mojo Dialer has an option for that also, so you don't miscall people.
All right. Do we have any other questions? Well, Michael, I want to just ask you, and I know that you're very helpful. You've been very helpful with the people who I have already sent your way just to ask you questions about what you're doing, and you've been very generous with your time. If people have questions about this, can they just post questions in the app with you, help them out or share the details?
Yeah, you're welcome to post something in the app and tag me, or you're welcome to drop me a text message, or if you're interested in, chatting about being someone that gets the turnkey option, tries that out, and you're welcome to reach out to me about that too.
So on that note, and I want to hold him accountable to this because I'm his coach, that he is willing to help 5 people. How could anybody who would be interested in maybe having you do this for them, how should they get in touch with you?
Yeah, probably best to call or email me, and we could set up a time where I could go through a little more detail with you and answer a little more questions about if you really want to do this, what would that really look like? I'm going to go ahead and just drop my email address and my phone number in the chat, so you can take those down if you want to.
So if you're interested in getting this up and running, now I'm not going to sit here, we're not going to turn this into a sales pitch, or I'm not going to talk to you about pricing or anything right now, but the only thing that I will tell you, that from what I have seen, what Michael is offering, you can't do this yourself for the price that he will do it for you. And the bottom line is he's going to get the benefit of the economies of scale of having a number of people, but apart from that, you are not able to do it. You're on your own for what he would do it for a group of people from Lifeonaire. And so, again, from my perspective, it worked. I'm in the middle of a rehab right now that I was talking with the real estate agent today, and we're expecting about a $40,000 profit on that one. And then I have another one that I was supposed to settle on already. And the woman who I'm buying the house from, she doesn't have a place to move to. So I have to wait for her to find a home. And she was very picky. She wanted a new home. And so she actually has a house being built. So I can't buy her house until her new home is built. So it's going to actually be sometime spring of 2022 is when I will actually settle that deal. But let me just say this. I love that because the price of the house is just going up in value. Since I put it under contract, it has the value of her home has gone up $15,000 to $20,000 since I put it under contract. And so the longer she waits, my price is locked in. If she waits another 4 or 5 months with the way if values continue to keep doing what they're doing, I'm going to make another $20,000 over the course of the next 4 to 5 months. And her house is in the right location. It is the right kind of house. It is in the area that's appreciating the most. So anyway, it'll be a while before I actually realize the profit on that one, but I'm going to guess at this very moment, if I did nothing to it and just if I settled on it and put it on the market, I'd make $40,000 on that one with doing nothing. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. So now, okay, you already got the question about, have you tested this with self-storage? No, you haven't done it with self-storage yet. But maybe.
Yeah, I've not done that, but there might be a way to target that audience. I just have not looked into it or, thought about that.
So Michael, let me just ask you this, if somebody were to get a list of self-storage facilities and the owners, you'd be able to skip trace.
Yep.
Get their email addresses and phone numbers and then target them through Facebook.
You got it. Could even have the VA call them too.
So, and you didn't have an issue with me using my list. I did have to pay you the cost to have it skip traced. That was an additional cost when I brought my list to you, but I think it was cheap. I don't really, I feel like it was like $27 or something to have.
It was really cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just basically passed along the cost of 10 cents, whatever my cost was. Yeah.
Anyone else have a question for Michael before we wrap up? Well, Michael, I thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time today to just share with everyone. I hope that everyone who was on the call got something out of it. I mean, I don't think Michael really held back. He showed you exactly what he is doing and all the pieces of the puzzle that he has put together to get this done. And I want to encourage you, if this is something you can do, get out there and do it. Make this happen. It worked for me, and the leads that it will generate is one of the cheapest ways that people are generating leads today, of all the things that I know that are going on. And people are having all different degrees of success with it. But for the most part, I think if you do it and you keep refining it, it is something that will work for you. So again, thanks, Michael.
Thank you, everybody.
I want to encourage everyone, let's continue the conversation in the app. If you think of a question, as soon as we end this, some of you probably will have questions, or some of you may have been too scared to ask the question here. Just post it in the app and we'll get you the answers as best as we can. Have a blessed day.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care.